yes. I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube, and we are on StreamYard. That's my buddy Patrick McCray. That's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review the movie Robin and the Seven Hoods, starring Frank Sinatra. Dean Martin is here. Sammy Davis Jr. is here. Ben Crosby is here, and he was a delight to see in this movie. It's funny to think that Peter Falk and Ben Crosby are in the same movie, and Ben Crosby is going to turn down Columbo. That's hilarious when you think about that.
Would have been a short run if Bing had taken Columbo.
Yeah. It was too polished for Bing.
That's right.
Bing needed something rougher.
Well, he said it would interfere with his golf game. That's what he said.
He had an important child beating schedule.
Yeah, he needed the character to have adult children to abuse verbally and physically. Curling orange juice at them.
Yeah, I hear you. What a movie this is. This was a lot of fun to watch, by the way. The musical numbers are excellent, and I love the combination of set designs, and we do get some real locations in this movie. The funeral scene is excellently shot. When did you guys first see Robin and the Seven Hoods? Patrick?
1988, when I was really getting into my Rat Pack stuff. And it was just part of the cycle of movies that Carl was showing me from the Vogue. So, and I think I saw this before I saw Ocean's 11. For a while, it was actually more commonly available on video. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
Because VHS printings were so strange then in their scheduling. It wasn't like today.
It was kind of the whim of the executives.
Yeah, very much so. Alan, how about you?
I keep thinking, I'm not sure this is true or not, but I keep thinking that it was during my pot smoking phase in the late 70s, early 80s, and I saw it on television. And I think that's probably true. I think it was fairly early on in the syndication, the Sinatra syndication packaging.
So what is an inebriated trip through this movie like?
Well, I don't really think that I went into it thinking it was a musical, so that probably threw me for a loop right there. Because I hadn't really heard of it when it was new. I was just a little kid. And the movies I saw when I was a little kid were things like 101 Dalmatians and Unsinkable Molly Brown, and that was that level. I wasn't into the flashy, cool, and questionable morals and ethos of the Rat Pack at that point in time. So I probably laughed a lot, actually. I'm thinking I probably did, because I still find it humorous.
It's a funny movie.
And silly and so on, and fun to watch. So, but it was probably back when I was late teens, early 20s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I saw this movie for the first time today, and it's a real blast.
It is.
Though I did read here, it says production Robin and the Seven Hoods was filmed from October to December of 1963. It was a troubled production interrupted by both the assassination of JFK and personal former friend of Sinatra's, and just weeks later, the kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr. Despite these difficulties, cast and crew ultimately decided to complete the film. The novelization by Jack Pearl was published by Pocket Books in 1964. The character of Marion features much more heavily in the book. Okay. The stage musical, let's see, with a book by Rupert Holmes, premiered on stage July 30th, 2010 at the Old Globe Theater in San Diego, California. That's interesting. So have you guys ever directed this play specifically?
No.
Did it ever come you guys' way?
No.
It's never been adapted for the stage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's never been available in its adaptation for the stage anyway.
Oh, okay.
That that Old Globe premiere was part of a New Works thing, I'm sure. That's where the San Diego Shakespeare Festival is, by the way, where Jonathan Frid played in '66.
Cool.
Is at the Old Globe in San Diego. So it's the same exact theater. It's the same space. It's been there since the '30s, I think.
It was interesting to see Peter Falk play the heel in this movie because I had not seen him play a heel before.
Early in his career, he played several real bad guys. Yeah, so he knew how to do it. Definitely.
What did you guys think of him here?
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he is. He's totally hilarious. He's sort of doing a 1930s ripoff of Humphrey Bogart in a lot of scenes in terms of this kind of thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
If you go back to the early Bogart Warner Brothers films, he plays punks and villains and gangsters in all of them. Angels with Dirty Faces is one I can think of where he's definitely, he's the gangster dude.
Yeah.
He's also, that's in the 30s still. He really doesn't come into his own as a heroic figure until the 40s. That's when he really starts in. But anyway, yeah, Falk is kind of doing that kind of 30s low life gangster, and he's amping it up to a ridiculous level. It's like, well, just kill him this way, oh no, I want to hear 5 different ways to kill this guy, and so he's definitely setting himself up as this sort of he's a mob boss who is also like administratively hidebound. He has to do it a certain way.
Well, that's the thing too. Edward G. Robinson wasn't exactly tall, and he's in this movie. He's killed off at the beginning, though, and that's one of the best sort of surprises in the movie. Like Edward G. Robinson being killed off at the beginning of it.
Yeah. I'm sure that Sinatra probably lobbied to have him have a nice crisp check, because at this point in his career, he wasn't doing a tremendous amount of work.
He had a bad ticker.
Yeah. So he did end up doing a few more pretty reasonably decent movies. I guess the last one he did was Soylent Green.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a great turn. He did a really fine job in that movie.
He's wonderful in that movie.
Yep.
I'm sort of wondering too because at the end of this movie you see Sinatra like dressed like Santa Claus, which I think is a deliberate tribute to Robinson, because Robinson was in a movie called Larceny Inc. where he dressed like Santa Claus. In my opinion, I think that it is sort of a tribute to Robinson.
It's entirely possible that had something to do with it, but it's also one of the wonderful things it does is it takes the edge off the whole ending of the movie. I mean, it takes the edge off the fact that everybody's in cement somewhere.
Well, Christmas was in December that year. Yeah. I looked it up.
Yeah, it was
in 24. So they naturally would run into it.
Hell of a deal.
What's some of your favorite sets on this movie? Because there's a good bit of them.
Oh, well, I mean, the centerpiece is the transforming casino.
Yes, it is. It's the first thing you think of. Is it goes from the Save a Soul mission basically to this whorehouse casino. It's like the walls look like a San Francisco whorehouse. But they got all these wonderful flipper flats and panels and all sorts of things that move around. You get to see it, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie made a lot of money. I don't have the budget, but 4.200.000. That's U.S. and Canada. That's a lot. It's a lot of good money. Yeah.
Again, a lot of movies only made in the single millions, and that was good money back then, because a lot of movies were also cost less than $1 million to make, or maybe $1.5 million max. So it was a big expenditure. Film like this, I'm sure that they used their studio properties a lot, which
is a big movie.
A lot of money. Yeah, it saved them a lot of money to be able to use those big studio properties, I'm sure. But yeah,
I'm just going to say, it's a very generous movie in that it gives you a lot, but it doesn't feel like you're getting too much. If you want musical numbers, you got those.
Yeah.
If you want Rat Pack antics,
You got
you got
tons
it
of
covered.
those. Yeah. Femme fatale and possible romance. You got
The
that
kid, there's a kid number,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, and the kid's funny.
Yeah.
When he shoots Sinatra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's and he starts showing up throughout the rest of the movie. I don't know if they shot this in sequence or not, vaguely, but that kid starts showing up all over the film.
Are you talking about the newsboy? Or is that...
Well, the newsboy was a little person.
Yes.
I don't mean him.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about the kid. Sort of the he looks like he's probably Henry Silva's kid, and he might have been.
It's entirely possible. We can't hire you, Henry, but we'll hire your kid.
We'll hire your son.
Yeah, so you get the check. Either way, you're going to get the check.
Maybe that's the part Henry was supposed to play.
Yeah.
He sent his son in his stead.
Sorry, I'm recovering from this case of syphilis.
And Henry excelled at playing, 5-year-old orphans.
The songs in this movie, Robin and the Seven Hoods Overture, orchestra conducted by Nelson Riddle, My Kind of Town, sung by Frank Sinatra.
That's the big hit.
Yeah,
that one transcended the actual film. That's on a lot of his greatest hits albums.
All for One and One for All by Peter Falk and chorus.
Yeah.
Don't Be a Do-Batter, Ben Crosby and the Mitchell Boy Sinners.
Oh God.
Style, the Ben Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and Dean Martin. Mr. Booze, which is
my favorite song.
Oh God, that's a wonderful number.
Ben Crosby.
Who is that girl?
I know there was. She was oddly androgynous.
I just thought she was luminous. I thought she was wonderful.
She's different looking for the time. She was not,
For the time, yes. She looks like absolutely. A time traveler.
Yeah, I mean, she does. She looks very modern. Absolutely. A touch of androgyny there. But I don't know who that actress was. I'm not sure.
A touch of androgyny. Wait, that was one of the Caligula episodes.
Yes, it was.
And I, Claudius.
Yes.
It sounds like an I, Claudius episode title.
It was the one that failed miserably, unfortunately. They censored it.
Stations thought you wrote in about the Caligula orgy one. Oh, that was nothing.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
I don't know.
He's massive.
Oh, he's taking care of the child.
Good for him. Well, now I will watch human tenderness in
a child from a racer head.
No. I think it's a baby. No. Is he drawing blood from its neck?
Maybe. It's not screaming, so he may be.
Well, there's an anesthetizing.
No,
I don't see any child. He consumed it.
Okay.
It was like osmosis.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry.
To what?
Let's see. Mr. Booze was sung by Ben Crosby, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and chorus. I Like to Lead When I Dance, sung by Frank Sinatra. Bang Bang by Sammy Davis Jr.
That's a fun song, too.
Charlotte Charleston, the ladies of the ensemble, Give Praise, Give Praise, Give Praise chorus, and Don't Be a Do Better final, which was Ben Crosby, Frank Sinatra.
Now, I Want to Lead When I Dance cut from this? Was it because it plays under all the Barbara Rush dinners?
It's not in the song selection. It could have just been.
It would be an interlude of some kind, probably.
Yeah, it could have just been something they played within the movie to have sort of as no like background.
Yeah, scoring.
It's just very specific.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like with certain movies, like if you're watching a certain movie and you like look at songs, you go, well, and they don't list the song. but you hear something within the frame of a movie, it's just usually it could be played for background noise or something.
Well, you know, even from horror movies, you know that there are certain
Yeah.
character signature pieces too.
Yep.
They have very, very specific ones for when like the killer shows up and things like
Yeah.
that. So it's the same in other movies too.
Yeah.
Maybe
Usually, yeah.
Babs needed, and you know, maybe it was part of a contract. I must have it.
Like I'll give here's a great example of a song getting played within a movie that's for a movie. Alice Cooper's "He's Back, the Man Behind the Mask" is played in Jason Lives.
Sure.
It's actually played within the movie.
Yeah.
Which is fun. So, it's so. What's you guys said? Booze is your favorite.
Yeah, that's the exact quote.
Yes.
Yeah, that is really good. And the way they do the transformation from casino to church was beautifully done. Could you imagine Cy Thomas doing the change?
Yeah. He would have had a ball.
I imagine he would have. Yeah, he would have figured it out. Go make the techies at the construction firm scratch their heads a few times, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god! What's your guys' favorite Sammy Davis Jr. role?
Like part that he ever played?
Yeah.
That is for me a really tough question. You know, and the reason it's tough is I'm a huge Sammy fan.
Yeah.
I mean, big, and his death was really harrowing for me. I took it really hard.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a good book called The Sammy Davis Reader that if you can find it, it's used now and has lots of good essays about him. And it's a good way to just kind of sit with him. And the recent biographies have been good too. But here's where I'm going with all of this. Sammy never got the film and the part in the film that would have really commensurately shown off what he could do.
No, he got stage roles that did, but Golden
Yeah.
Boy was one. But yeah, in terms of film and television, he was always considered, and he was extremely good at it, a variety performer. So you know, he would characterize through his talents. He's a triple threat. He's an incredible dancer.
Yeah. And a fine
incredible
actor.
singer, an incredible voice coming out of that tiny little body. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times he got relegated. Well, we've got to get Sammy into a dance routine here, or we got to have him sing a song here. And even in the straight films, a lot of times, because he sings EO 11 in Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
He does a fantastic job. It's one of my all-time favorite songs of his. But he was so good. He was a nightclub performer. He started out with a Will Maston trio.
And he stayed with
He
them.
was 5 years old when he started with them, and he stayed with them well into adulthood, and was doing Vegas with them. That was during that whole period of time when they were trying to get them into the regular hotels and all of this sort of thing. But then when he lost his eye in an automobile accident and he came back from that. He started getting he got on variety shows a lot. Television stuff was happening. Frank got him onto his show to get him back into things after the accident. For a while, he wore a patch over his eye before he got a glass eye.
He looked cool with that.
He was very cool looking. But he always people clamored to hear him do. I mean, he was also an incredible impressionist. He would do that as part of his nightclub act, and sometimes he would do it on variety shows.
And trick shooting.
Yeah. There is a segment. I think there's an episode of Playboy After Dark, which is the first version of it, which was in the late 50s, early 60s, black and white, where he holds court for a great part of one of the episodes. Does a variety of things from his nightclub routine, and it's really interesting to see. But that was his forte, was live entertainment, and he did some stage work, and he was very good. Got a lot of good reviews, and when he finally did get to do film work, a lot of times it was sidekick stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say out of all of the work that he did in his life, the strongest thing in terms of a structured play would be something like Golden Boy.
Yeah.
The strongest thing in terms of what he made his life's work as, for the most part, would be his incredible nightclub act, which was, by all accounts, incredible. And you can, like I say, you can see parts of it in variety shows and some of the television shows that he did.
So, Alan, may I interject something here?
Sure.
There are two Sammy films that are not seen. I think one is just not seen in America, and he's barely great in it, and that's Porgy and Bess.
Okay. See, I've never seen that, so
it exists, and it was done more as a traditional musical than an opera, and he played Sportin' Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because
I think I may have seen still photos of that actually.
There's a legal thing, it's like the Maurice Evans, Gilbert and Sullivan biopic.
Yeah.
So there's that. They're also I think it was shot in Electronovision. Do you know about Electronovision?
No, this sounds.
Well, this is the Burton Hamlet was shown in Electronovision or Electrovision, something like that. But basically, it was just all the theaters in the country showing the movie at the same time.
Okay. So it was closed circuit, yeah.
Doing that 2 or 3 times and pretending it was closed circuit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I think maybe the show was Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, because he did have such a good relationship with Tony Newley. But that
did he play Little Chap in that? Did he play?
Pardon?
Did he play Little Chap in that?
He played Little Chap. Yeah. So there. Those are sort of the unseen Sammys.
Yeah.
Say that
I'd be very interested in glomming a hold of either of those.
Me too.
What was the name of the movie you said?
Well, there were
First
two.
one was Porgy and Bess, which is it was actually an opera written in the 1930s.
And the movie was more of a musical.
Yes. And then the other one was
Stop the World, I Want to Get Off,
which is an Anthony Newley stage play that has been was apparently made into a film.
Carl went to see it.
Yeah.
It opened on Christmas Day or something and played 4 days, and then by necessity became ukulele picks.
Yeah. I wonder if he did it on stage before the filming.
Not that I know of.
No.
No, I don't think so. Now, the most amazing Sammy vehicle, which is unfortunately unwatchable because it's so bad, is the thing that should be good. Alan, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no, I don't.
Poor Devil.
Poor Devil.
Poor Devil. Look up the credits. You're gonna think I'm making this up.
Okay.
He shot the pilot to it, and it has Adam West, Christopher Lee.
Wow.
Well, Adam West is just a guest star, but Christopher Lee plays Satan, and Sammy is a demon.
Wow.
But Sammy has a good heart, and so he keeps inadvertently helping people. And so, in a reverse of It's a Wonderful Life, basically Satan is going to do him in, and Sammy says, "No, give me an extension." He says, "Okay, listen. If you screw up at all,
you're
well,
going.
Of course,
you're gone.
The thing is that, and so then it's a human interest show, like The Love Boat or something. He gets involved in different little stories every week, sometimes multiples, and of course, the person actually is good and shouldn't be going to hell, and misunderstood or something like that.
Right.
And Satan, well, I'll make an exception this time. And it's Christopher Lee in a Beatles wig.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, Sammy was a member of the Church of Satan,
Oh wow.
as just like Jane Mansfield had been.
Yes.
And he painted his fingernail red and did all his other stuff. Not that that's a thing I've ever heard of, but anyway, some people like to do it. And apparently, Frank objected.
Oh, really?
I think Frank cornered him and said, "What is it with this devil crap?" And
But Frank, baby, it's really popular right now, and it's a comedy.
I know. So,
Oh my god! I sent you guys something on Facebook Messenger. I think you'll like. I found pork. I found it. I found the Sammy Davis Jr. movie. You guys.
which one?
The best one. The
Porgy and Bess?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
It's not just like a still and then go to this Russian website?
Nope.
That's amazing.
So you guys can watch it when you're done. But yeah. So with this movie, there's a lot of cool sets. I really love how they're sitting around the table, and they got multiple ways of getting rid of Sinatra's character. They've got more ways of getting rid of Sinatra's character than a serial killer gets rid of a teenager. It's like, what the hell? It's just funny. And then they get rid of the sheriff. They kill off the sheriff. He's like, I'll stake my life on it. I'm thinking, this character's toast.
Of course. Well, when you have Victor Buono in the offing, and there's an acting lesson in this movie, hardcore.
It is. He's 26 years old.
He's so good. He's so good. But there's a scene where Peter Falk is kind of juggling who he's going to pay more attention to. He's got the sheriff on one side, and then Gibbs or Griggs or whoever the T.S. Eliot character is. What is it? The assistant sheriff, the deputy.
Deputy.
Yeah, the deputy. Okay. Yeah, he's got him, and something interrupts. And I think he is being overruled or something like that. And they make fun of his Coco. The first of several times that'll happen. And I think like Guy Gisborne just says, pay attention to your Coco, kid. And the Coco's dead center in the screen. Everyone else is dispersed pleasantly, but the camera spends a lot of time there. And in the middle, with nothing to do except, tell the story, is Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Is Mr. Sellers? No. I'm sorry. In the middle of it all, it's Victor Buono. Well, here's the point. Buono's pouring hot chocolate, and I've often said that anyone who is really doing something, it can be completely mundane, will steal the show from anyone else who's only kind of simulating doing something.
Right, because of the focus.
That's right. Focus. And I mean, I have no idea what goes on in that scene because I'm so paying attention to Victor Buono, who's so carefully managing this prop, this food prop that would probably stain a lot of costumes and be a big pain. And I just think that's great. I think that is an acting principle I've talked about with kids for a long time, and it's nice to see it there.
He's almost doing that isolation exercise where, okay, I'm by myself and I'm going to just do this like I'm by myself. There's no audience, there's no crew, there's no camera, there's nothing. It's just me making Coco and That's it. And that sort of thing is also, it's like, I forget what it's called, but it's one of the things that Stanislavski talked about. Uh,
Part of the system.
yes, in the system, and then was later touted as part of Hagen as well. No, not Hagen.
Strasbourg.
Adler.
Oh, Adler. Okay.
Stella Adler, because she actually she actually settled an argument she was having with Strasbourg by going to see Stanislavski in the last year of his life. She went overseas and went to Russia, and she went and spoke with him, probably through an interpreter. I think she spoke Yiddish. I'm not sure she spoke Russian. She might have spoken enough to be able to sort of get by.
Yeah.
The Adlers were immigrants after all.
Yeah.
But the whole idea about just sort of being there and not being concerned about an audience, which will give you tics. If you're concerned about the audience there and you're playing a character that might pick his nose because nobody else is on stage, you're going to do it in a different way because there's a goddamn audience there. Yeah, unless you are focused completely on the idea of this this sort of public solitude is what it's called. Public solitude. So
when did this
the
happen?
way you light cigarettes, the way you shuffle stuff around on a table when there's nobody else in the room, you might mutter to yourself, various things that happen that don't necessarily happen when there are other people in the room, and you're doing it, and it has to be addressed because the actor still knows that there's an audience there looking at them, so it has to be addressed and made into part of the methodology so that you can actually free yourself to do those things without feeling self-conscious, I guess. Yeah, public solitude, that was the one. And Buono does that in several cases, even though he's not really in solitude in the scene. He's just doing things on his own now. He's sort of paying attention to what's going on. He's focusing on things that he has to focus on, and but then when the boss man starts spouting off nonsense, he's not focused on that. He's thinking about something else. He's doing something else. And so all of those, that's part of that layering that you were talking about. And it's paying attention to all that detail, because we do. We do those things. We may sort of do them in terms of, like when we talk to each other and we gesticulate, we don't think about it unless we're doing a speech, So some of that stuff can be on that level after you've rehearsed it, but you need to rehearse it and be mindful of it first, and then sort of let that go. So I think he was really good at that, and may have been. I think it was a savant at doing it even without any rehearsal or with very little rehearsal, because film sets don't always accommodate that. So
no, they don't. No, they don't.
But he is brilliant, and he does. Sometimes it is, as an actor, it's just distracting to watch him because he's just so good. It's like,
he's good.
You guys, have you guys from stage experience have ever seen maybe an actor suggest something that wasn't initially part of a script that helped the script?
Yeah, with the director's permission usually, but it's not changing dialogue or anything like this. It's usually a response or a reaction that's a little different.
Okay.
It's not you don't dialogue gets changed in films a lot of times because stars say, I wouldn't say that, blah blah blah. That happens. It shouldn't, but it does. Somebody like Jack Nicholson could do it because he was also a brilliant writer. He was a screenplay guy. So he could do things like that and actually improve scenes because of his experience as a screenwriter. But most actors shouldn't touch that sort of thing. They should do what Jonathan Frid did, which is they give me the script, I interpret the script, I do the script, and with my fellow actors. And yeah, you can. it actually from night to night you can have slightly different responses and timing with certain things, as long as it's not like the timing isn't like you must do it like this, otherwise the joke dies, or you must do it like this, otherwise the other character can't respond the way they need to do it. You have to have that kind of discipline. But in rehearsal, sometimes things get suggested, like, can I say it in this tone of voice? Can I try it this way? And that's allowable. But you still don't want to go so far afield from the author's intent that it's going to mess things up. And that's I've seen plays where that happens, where the auteur director and the auteur lead actor or whatever decide they're going to do, that they know better, and they oftentimes don't. The author usually does. That's why their play has won a Pulitzer or whatever, But yeah, in rehearsal you can play around with stuff sometimes, and then it's the director's job to pull it back if it needs to be pulled back, and to make sure that the vision isn't lost.
What's some of you guys' favorite scenes in this movie?
Oh, it
is. It's the scene change. It's just
the Optimus Prime, and watching the casino transform at the beginning of it's a lot of fun. And trying to figure out what it actually looks like from an engineering point of view inside, because this is very stripped down. So those have been the things on my mind.
The transformative room, like you guys said, Optimus Prime. All the extras you get in this movie too are just a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite things too. It's like you see this movie is brought to life not just by its sets and not by its stars, but by all the other extras in this movie too.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of 50 a day people in this in this movie. $50 a day kind of thing, no speaking lines. Following at the time, it was Screen Actors Guild. After it wasn't part of films, but it was SAG, Screen Actors Guild, and they had a schedule for people that if it was an under 5, you got paid this much money. If it was no lines, you got paid this much money. If it was an over 5, you featured and you got this much money, and so on. So, most of these people only murmured, so they didn't get lines.
That's true.
This movie's a lot of fun. I have no more questions for you guys. Scale 1 to 10? What do you guys give this movie?
It's of its type. It is. I happen to. It's a musical. It's a movie musical. That's what it is. And for its type, I give it about a 9. Yeah. 9
is fair. Yeah, I thought we were going to go even higher than that. 9 is fair. It's the last time you'll see them together in a movie that is seemingly very free of politics, even politics within their group.
Yes. Yeah. Well, by this time, Peter Lawford is on the outs because
that's right.
Because JFK put Frank on the outs, and so there's no more Lawford, and Joey Bishop is in and out because Joey ends up touring with them in a live act, the St. Louis version of which got filmed, and that's on YouTube, I think, as well. They did a special show in St. Louis. I think they did several other shows in '65, but it was the 4 of them, I think, at that point.
I'm gonna give this movie a solid 12. It is really
it's a lot of fun. It's really fun. I won't argue with it. I won't argue. I'm kind of when I say 9, I'm putting it in the context of the rest of the movies, and I'm an Ocean's 11 guy.
It does some it, and we talked about how I know our video got lost, and I apologize for that, but
not a problem.
We were talking about how the final 10 minutes of Ocean's 11, would we have kept it? And probably not. But with this movie, you keep everything because everything just clicks. It's really that good.
It is. It's like, God, I don't know. It's like Guys and Dolls meets Parallel Time Guys and Dolls. You know, it's a good musical. It's well written. And I can understand why Rupert Holmes would turn it into a stage play. Absolutely. Yeah. I imagine it was rather expensive to do all the switching and changing around of the casino into the church. That must have been maybe why it's never been done again. I don't know.
Man.
You know.
What is you guys' favorite musical of all time? You know?
Well, I've been in several. And so I would say my favorite musical that I've ever been in was probably Man of La Mancha. It was really good. I just played the Padre in it. I wasn't playing a major role in it at all. But I got a couple of good numbers out of it, so it was fun. In terms of watching, viewing, there are so darn many. God, Guys and Dolls is classic, mid-century Americana, New York Americana, I guess, New Yorkana, whatever you want to call it. Again, it's a gangster kind of film, but it's a gangster film with heart, like this one is, or not film, but stage play. And I've also been in a production of that and enjoyed that immensely. I got to play Nathan Detroit in that, so that was enormously entertaining every night on stage. It was a lot of fun. So those two would probably be I like the older stuff better than the new stuff. I'm not. The only thing I've seen on Broadway was, and I will say it's fantastic and it's life-changing the first time you see it, is Les Mis.
Yeah,
really.
I saw it when they still were using the table, the rotating table.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken that out of the show now. And it was it was a tail end of the first revival. It was in 2002, I believe, and they were calling back cast members from the last 10 years to come in for 3-week runs. And they were ending the run another week or two after I saw it. So it was like Old Home Week, and people were just up for it. It was wonderful.
I bet you could just hear a pin drop.
Oh God, it certainly, it was amazing. 3 hours. It's a long musical, but
it's a long read play.
It is a long read. It's a good book.
We read that in classroom just to read it. We didn't do the play, but just as a read along, it's
the actual novel. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. It's
my former teacher printed it out for us to each have a copy.
Wow.
And it's just like, jeez.
I was about to say that must have blown the budget for the entire year for his class.
We're just reading it. We didn't perform it. We're just reading it in the classroom. And
even the stage play has got to be what? It's got to be 150, 170 pages.
It's crazy.
And it's more than that with all, of course, you guys were just reading it, but if you put the score in there, you're talking 300-400 pages.
Oh, wait, no, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the novel itself is also huge. You know, the original novel is a Hugo novel is just gigantic. It's a masterpiece.
It is. Speaking of gigantic, I have to go.
Okay.
And take care of this person.
Okay.
He said threateningly, you didn't mean it to be. And
this is the gigantic part that got us.
and get this guy on his hands and knees. I don't know what they want.
Okay.
We'll find out. Anyway, gentlemen, keep going. Do as thou wilt should be the whole law.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow night for November Winter Kills.
Winter Kills.
I like it. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye.
See you, Patrick. Yeah, one of my favorite things is Phantom of the Opera, because I got to see it at the State Theater. And when you see that thing live, and I'm sure you have to, it hooks you. It really does. Like even more so than the films itself. Like the films.
Yeah, it's a spectacle.
Yeah,
it's a real full-blown spectacle, which is part of its obviously part of its major appeal.
And it's one of the Universal monsters too. It's like
Yeah, I mean it was a novel. Again, it was a novel, a French novel from the late 19th century.
Mm.
Then it became a universal. He became a universal monster. Eric does the
Yeah.
Phantom, and yeah. So I mean, it's the Phantom has a literary weight and popular culture weight, cinematic weight as well. Before it became this major, massive play that also now is in terms of musicals is also one of the top ones of all time. So
Do you ever
yeah,
think they'll get this dark universe thing ever off the ground?
oh, it's they need some consistency in decision making, which is what kind of caused DC to go off the rails.
Yeah.
Anyway, because they just didn't have that consistency in decision making, executive decision making, and that caused some problems with directors leaving, or maybe not doing it the way it is. See, I thought the whole thing got scotched for a while because the Mummy was what, the first or the second one?
It was the second one. First one was Dracula Untold.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But with the Mummy, it was a great idea, but Tom Cruise kind of took over that picture,
Yeah.
and I think that was problematic. Because it was let's do it my way or the highway, because he's the biggest box office star in the world. And I think that there was some mistakes made on account of that. I thought there was some great potential for it. I love the fact that they had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of show up as this whole thing. I didn't mind the fact the Mummy is a woman either. That didn't bother me a bit. She was still very, very, menacing at times. And the actress who played her is great. She was great.
And what's crazy is too, the actor who played Jekyll and Hyde, it's like it makes sense him knowing things.
Oh, absolutely.
Because again, if he felt like very much like a Professor Stokes almost. He
understands the extra scientific, and so therefore also the supernatural, I think. And that's why he's studying this, and why he wants to. He wants to destroy it at a certain point. At least his Jekyll persona wants to. Because he sees a threat there. But it's it had potential, but it was something it didn't quite get over the hill.
Yeah, I do think too. They need to know what each film is going to do from a characteristic. The right hand needs to know what the left hand's doing.
I agree, and I think they pretty well accomplished that with the Wolfman.
Yes,
I thought that was a hit. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily love Anthony Hopkins because I thought that gave it away too much. But the movie, is good.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's like from a movie,
Del Toro is really good.
Yeah.
As Lawrence Talbot, he's really good. And the woman, I forget her name, was very good too. You believe that he would be in love with her, that he would be torn by her presence, and so on.
I would literally, because I think Blumhouse is in charge of the Universal thing now. With I would pick literally one writer, one director, and say, do all of it.
Yeah.
And be consistent with what you're doing.
At least one screenwriter, even if you had different directors, at least one screenwriter.
Yeah, because I think like if it's different people and one goes off course to what you're trying to plot out, you're just gonna be. I don't. And two, do I think you need to know who the monsters are? No, but I do think if you're plotting this to have like a dark universe, then you need to be consistent with the story. You do need to have one be like, for example, The Monster Squad is a great movie where the werewolf, there's a difference between the werewolf and the man who is the werewolf, where he calls the guy, he's gonna kill your son.
Yeah.
Is terrifying as fuck.
Yeah, they do that. They sort of do that in League of Extraordinary Gentleman with
Yep.
with Jekyll and Hyde too.
Yep. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I always thought that movie was a lot of fun. I thought it deserved better than it got. You know,
It's a fun watchable movie.
Yes.
So I mean, it's very action packed. To me, it fit the time.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of movies like that coming out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sean Connery looks good.
Oh, he was great in it. He left a bad taste in his mouth for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And he never made another film again. That one he retired.
Yeah.
I think there were other reasons for his retirement too.
Yeah.
But that was one of them.
You know who I don't know if he's too old to play the role. I don't think he is. I would love to see who was it that played who am I thinking of? Who was in the movie like where he's this killer chef or something?
I know who you're talking about. Rafe
Fiennes. Yeah, I'd love for him to play Quartermain.
Oh yeah, he could do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he could do it. He'd make an excellent Quartermain.
I would love for him to, because he's to me, he's not too old. He's the right age. And why not remake League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with him? You know,
Quartermain is an older man in those graphic novels anyway. He's in his 70s.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who would you like to see as Quartermain, Alan? Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, Ray Fiennes sounds fantastic. You could. He might be a little too old now. I'm not sure. Probably out of it. But the person I'm thinking of that might be a little too old for it would be Harrison Ford, maybe.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford isn't British, and he doesn't really do dialects, so that'd be a stumbling block.
Now, like if you're going like a little younger, you could do one of you could do a little younger like Henry Cavill maybe or somebody like that.
Yep.
You know, again, it depends on what they're
what you want to do with the film. It doesn't have to be absolutely true to the graphic novel because Quartermain in the graphic novel isn't really that heroic for one thing. You know, he's kind of he's in love with the vampire lady, and you know, and he's also kind of old and he's weakened by his age at this point.
No, like if they're going, like if they wanted to do the graphic novel but a younger version, like if I'm picking a younger Quartermain guy, I would go. Again, if he wanted to do it, would be the guy who did Sherlock Holmes. Who am I think of? The guy who did Doctor Strange.
Cumberbatch. But he could definitely do that. He's got an angularity about him too that would lend itself to that.
Yeah, definitely.
He could do that. And he could play older than himself too a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow night, Winter Kills is gonna be a lot of fun. I gotta watch it.
Me too. I gotta watch it tomorrow. So
I'm gonna send it to you guys in Messenger.
Great.
Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Colin Sport After Dark, is going to be in the description box. Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound is going to be in the description box. Alan, you have a good night, dude.
You too, sir. Thanks. Good to have you back.
Let's see.